All right. Shabbaton. Shalom.
Shabbaton Shalom.
We are back. Today is our special presentation for HaYom Teruah. HaYom Teruah. Today we're going to be talking about this feast day, this time that we are in now, and some of the significances, things that we should be thinking about, things that this day calls for us to do, and teaches us when we understand what it is. So we want to, first of all, go, just get right into it, not mess around. Let me just pull up the scriptures here. We want to always look at, just start by looking in the book of Leviticus before we get into the main text that we want to go over today. Let me just go ahead and pull that up, put that up on the screen for us though here. 1 second.
Hi, guys. Mine.
It's a little laggy for some reason today. Okay. All right. Go ahead and read for us Leviticus 23 down through 25.
And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th new moon, on the first day of the new moon, you have a rest, a remembrance of Teruah, a set-apart gathering. You do no servile work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh.
Okay, very good. All right, so Yom Teruah, a day of... Here, let's just do this. We have to go through the formalities of the day. Yom Teruah. Let me put this up here so we can see. Word here, Teruah. Okay, so today is a day of clamor. If you were just here a few moments ago, we were making all types of clamoring sounds, trumpets and yelling and so on and so forth. So this day is a day of clamor. It's a day of acclamation of joy.
Shouts of joy and victory.
Or a battle cry, especially clangor of trumpets as an alarm blowing, trumpets loudly, so on and so forth. So when we look at this word here, Teruah, we typically refer to it as the day of trumpets, Yom Teruah. But as we see over here, the word literally means clamor, the day of clamor. And, when you will be blowing, making a trumpet blast, it makes a clamoring sound. Where's my little, let me see that little whiteboard. I'm going to do a little whiteboard thing here. With Teruah.
You want a real expo marker?
This one works pretty good, I think. I want to look at this word Teruah here, just because, it helps us to understand where we're going in regards to, what we'll be looking at here. I'm getting to our verses. Let's pull that up here. Okay, so the word Teruah, I have to write it down, then I'll put it up here on the camera so you can see here. There's a tav, a resh, a vav, maybe I should have taken those real ones. An ayin and a hey. And then let me just write the ancient. That's what I want to look at here a bit. Then I'll show you.
What verses are we reading? Leviticus 23?
23 through 25. Okay. All right, let me just switch the camera here. Teruah, our word here, Teruah. I gotta peek around. Teruah looks like this in the Hebrew. It's a tav. Oh, sorry. Wait. It's a tav, a resh, a vav, a ayin, and a hey. And so in the ancient, you have the tav, which is a mark or a sign, something that designates a thing. The resh, which is the man's head. The vav, which is the tent peg, which has the idea of securing something or adding to something. The ayin, which is the eye. The eye gives you the idea of revelation or knowledge, to know a thing. And the man with his hands raised is breath. Mm-hmm. And so Teruah is root. Oh, I should have wrote this down first. Let me just write it here. The root of Teruah is this middle section here. And when you look in the ancient version of the language, there was an older version of the ayin. That looked like, here I'm about to show you here. That look like this, which is like a twisted it's like a twisted rope. Okay? And so the root, again, the root being this middle section here, ruah. And this is also ruah, but it has a different thing. And so when we think about looking at it from this way, we have the idea of adding. This adds to the man knowledge or intimacy, to know, right? So if we're going to add knowledge or add intimacy to the man, or you could add perversion or twistedness to the man. And so when we think about again the word teruah, when you're sounding the alarm, it could be a happy alarm. You could be sounding the alarm, and it would be something that is, exciting. Or it could be like an alarm that goes off that's like, oh, I gotta get up and go to work, which is not always that exciting. But the alarm is one alarm, but it invokes different things inside of you when you hear it. An alarm could be, you going to battle, or it could be you going to a party, right? And so when we think about the idea of the day of shouting, first of all, in the scripture here is calling for us to remember something, right? The remembrance of Teruah, a remembrance of clamoring, a set apart gathering. But what exactly is it remembering? What's the Day of Trumpets remembering? Because when we think about, say for instance, Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, we remember the Exodus from Egypt, right? When we remember the Shavuot, Pentecost, we remember the giving of the commandments, right? There's a thing to remember. But when we remember Teruah, what are we remembering? Oh, yes, go ahead. Creation. That's interesting. I could say that one of the things that when you think about people's explanation of Rosh Hashanah,
I'm a Rosh Hashanah person.
they say that the earth was created, interestingly enough, in the 7th month. And so when we think about Rosh Hashanah, creation started. This is the things that they say. And so one of the reasons that they talk about this as being the beginning of months is because what you're actually remembering is creation. It's an interesting thought. I enjoy some of the different things that come about in the rabbinic thought. I'm not attached to the idea. I just understand what it comes from. I think that what's this say? We are remembering a few things when y'all spoke to it. Let me put this up here. We are remembering a few things when y'all spoke to Israel on the mount, and Joshua and the defeating of Jericho. Okay, at this point, at this moment, Jericho didn't happen yet, right? This is in Leviticus. We could say that the voice of the Most High was indeed, like the sound of a trumpet blast that just got louder and louder as they spoke.
I like that because it was a trumpet.
Right. And so we can think about the fact that, but however, we could say that, and it's not like it's a wrong answer, but just to kind of challenge it a bit, we already think about the mount, the Most High speaking from the mountain. We think about that on Shavuot. And so, I mean, we could say that we're remembering Teruah remembers the voice of the Most High. You know, that's, you know, we can say that. But I think that for me, when we think about Teruah, even though is the word there, it's probably zakar, to remember or to memorialize. I think that it's more about us looking forward. I think looking forward as opposed to looking backwards. Which I guess if I was to say that, then I'd have to go back on what I just said, because Jericho from this point is forward. Okay, but okay, so I guess I have to agree then with Jericho then, because Jericho's forward. But also, I think that is causing for us to look a little past, a little beyond Jericho into the future, you know, from a prophetic standpoint. Because when we look at the feast days, they give us a picture of the complete plan of salvation. It gives us a starting from the Passover all the way to the last great day. And so when we think about Teruah, it's giving us this prophetic thing that's pointing us into the future, that it speaks of the mouth, the voice of the Most High. But when we think about the voice of the Most High, I don't know about you, but it causes me to think about Yeshua, right? He who is the Word of the Most High. Okay, so I wanted to go over to the book of Matthew and talk a little bit about, you know, some of the things that Yeshua speaks about, because again, when we think about the day of trumpets, when we think about the day of clamoring, for us, it's calling for us to actually be the trumpets. It's causing for us to literally make this clamoring sound, because there is a message that we have to bring. And for some, that message is a message of joy and hope, and gladness. But for others, that exact same message is a message of wrath and damnation. Right? If I am a little brother, and I'm saying, and I say, and I hear people saying, your big brother is coming, to me, that's an amazing message. But to the bully, he don't want to hear that message. He didn't say nothing different, but your big brother is coming. Right? One message. But depending on the hearer, you know, you're going to have a different response to the message. So I want to go and look at some things over in. First of all, here let's say this. Let's first, before we go to the main thing we want to look at, let's go to Matthew. Let's go over to the book of Matthew. We're gonna be looking at the words of Yeshua today. Let's start in Matthew, because I want to talk about, first of all, not really talk about, just mention, you know, Yeshua, when he comes on the scene, you know, he has some. It's interesting to note what the first things that he speaks actually are. And so let's look at Matthew 4, and let's read verse 17 here.
From that time, Yeshua began to proclaim and to say, "Repent, for the reign of the heavens has drawn near."
Okay, very good. So it says over here, Yeshua is calling for the people who are able to hear his voice to repent. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is near. And so this is that trumpet sound. This is that proclamation. This is that declaration. The kingdom of heaven is near. And so if you're on the right side, this is a magnificent message to you. Mm-hmm. Your king, who you already know as king, is coming. But for those who are not under the rulership of the king Yeshua, his return is terrible news.
So that means your time of reigning has come to an end.
Yeah, among other things.
And you're done.
Among other things, right? And so he has this message. Turn from wickedness. Turn from iniquity and evil, and turn to the Most High. To somebody who has a heart to hear, ears to hear, and eyes to see, the idea of turning from sin and wickedness and turning to righteousness is a good thing. But for somebody who loves wickedness and somebody who loves unrighteousness, this is terrible. This is a terrible message. I moved to this other job and started working with these people that I've never worked with before. The young apprentice says, do you like music? Oh yeah, music is fine. I'll put on whatever you want to hear. Let's do this. So I said, I don't really care. When I'm at work, I feel like I need to hear classic rock because I'm used to hanging out with people of a particular persuasion who listen to that all the time. I kind of become accustomed to it. I like anything except for country music. So he said, but he says to me, I'll play anything but gospel. I said, okay, so you're a heathen then. Okay, that's fine. I'll settle for classic rock then, I guess, since we can't listen to gospel. Because he controlled the radio. And so it just caused me to think about the fact that, some people just, they don't want to hear certain things. But that can't stop you and I from delivering this message. Again, this one message. One message, depending on the hearer, what is going to be how you react to the thing. Real quick, let's look over in John in 5, and 28 and 29. John 5, verse 28. Oh, let me put it up on the screen here. 29.
Do not marvel at this, because the hour is coming in which all those in the tombs shall hear his voice, and shall come forth, those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have practiced evil matters to a resurrection of judgment.
Okay, very good. So we see over here, various times Yeshua is speaking of, what is going to be at his coming. And again, he's coming there's going to be a particular series of events that happen. But again, his one coming is going to have different results based on, where you stand, when he arrives. And so not only do we want to be on that right side, but we also want to at some point become propagators of the right side. Right? Not only be those that await the final pronouncement, but, as Yeshua, did when he walked this earth, is that he makes the pronouncement. And so I want to look at some things over here from Matthew 24 dealing with the coming of Messiah, things to look for, things to look forward to, and also things that connect with the day of trumpets. Let's start by reading, let's see here. Let's look at first Matthew 24:27 down through 31.
It says, "For as the lightning comes from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For wherever the dead body is, there the vultures shall be gathered together."
Okay, let's just stop right there for a moment, because when we think about the coming of Yeshua, which this is referring to, it refers it to lightning that comes from the east and shines to the west. Now, this is not necessarily saying that he's coming from the east. I don't think that's the point that is making here. The point is that when lightning comes, it's something that's visible. Like his lightning, his coming will be something that's seen, right? It won't be something that's hidden. Some people talk about the coming of Messiah as being this secret thing, right? There's a theology. I don't know who are the originators of this particular theology, but they speak about a secret coming. Oh, I think it might be the Mormons.
When he came to America in
I
yeah.
think the secret coming thing it originates with them. I don't know if anybody else has that thought, but there's some Hebrew Mormons out here now, by the way. I don't know if you knew that, but
They're crazy.
he says that this thing is going to be like lightning, right? When there's lightning, right? It's a thing that's known. It's somewhat unpredictable and unexpected. However, there's also a type of understanding of that there's a potential that lightning could be getting ready to strike. If there's a storm, a bad storm, there's a potential for lightning. You might not be able to say, well, lightning's about to strike that tree right over there. But,
The thunder.
well, the thunder is the sound of the lightning. Thunder is the sound that the lightning makes. Sometimes, we'll see the lightning typically first, and then we'll hear the sound, because light is faster than sound. But, you can have these dark clouds and, windy situations where the environment is set for lightning to strike. But you won't know exactly where it's gonna hit. But the atmosphere is set where lightning is a strong possibility. So Yeshua is comparing his coming to lightning. He also says, for wherever the dead body is, the vultures are gathered there. And these are kind of just things. Like if you see roadkill, I mean, he says dead bodies. I mean, I can't think of living in a place where there's dead bodies is like a thing that you like see. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just bodies. Oh, there's bodies over there, and vultures are coming. Like he's talking to these people and talking to them about like things that are natural in their understanding. Like roadkill is something I can understand, and I've seen roadkill with vultures around, but dead bodies and vultures, right? You know that when you see them things circling, there's something there. And so the same thing, it goes along the same lines. There's things that can happen to cause us to know and begin to think about the coming of Messiah that we should be mindful of. He wants us to be mindful of these things. Not to say, well, he's coming on August 8th, 2023. Right? Not to say an exact point of time that he's coming, but to know the temperature in the atmosphere and the things. You know, there's things that we're able to look at and see that is moving in a particular direction. Okay, keep on going with 29.
And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of the son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the son of Adam coming in the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem.
Okay, very good. So again, when we look at these verses over here, we see this picture of Messiah returning, and again, everyone's gonna know. It's easy for us to think about something happening anywhere in the earth and everyone being able to know about that thing right now. Whenever they, these words were actually put to paper, it was more of an amazing thing, I would say, for something to happen somewhere and everyone to know about it. Mm-hmm. Now, we have all of this news, CNN, and all of these things, and I just was thinking the other day, for people who believe in outer space, these people are crazy. Are they trying to? Do they want to fight the coming of Messiah?
I saw that.
Absolutely.
I saw that too.
Did you see that them shooting something at the asteroid coming?
Oh yeah.
Do they want to fight against Messiah and shoot rockets at him in outer space as he comes?
It was a practice, right?
They're getting ready, right? They're playing war games, getting ready for Messiah.
You didn't see their new I don't know if it's, but they got a Space Force. I think
the Space Force, yes.
Space Force came out with their new logo, and it showed like the spaceship and different planes, and then they got UFOs around it. And they got
you talking about the insignia?
Yeah, is their thing? They got an
Wow.
outside threat that they always talk about. Yeah.
Wow,
Yep.
that's crazy. That's crazy.
They believed all this time. They actually did believe.
It's mind-boggling. I'm just saying, because when we look over here, right, we have these signs, right, of these things, and I can see why they would, why they would think that, because there's all of these things coming from the heavens that's initiating these things, right? These stars falling from the heavens, right? These things coming, these are the signs of the Son of Man. So they getting ready. They getting ready for this time. However, when we look over here, where'd you stop? 30?
Yeah.
Read 31.
He shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other.
Okay, so here we see the connection over here dealing with his coming, his angels, his messengers sound this great sound of a trumpet. Right? They're signifying his coming with this sound of a trumpet. I also want to look at over here. Let's go over to we'll come back to Matthew 24. Let's go over to Revelation 6. Read the verse 12 down through 17. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong chapter. 6:12 through 17.
And I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and saw a great earthquake came to be, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of the heaven fell
Okay,
to...
hold on one second. So when we think about this, and the similarities between here and there, the sun black, the moon not giving us light. I don't believe this one talks about the trumpet, but we can connect the trumpet back to the same thing that's going on over here. The stars falling from heaven, the moon and the sun going black, right? Okay, keep on going.
And the stars of the heaven fell to the earth, as the fig tree drops its unripe figs, being shaken by a strong wind. And the heaven departed like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the sovereigns of the earth, and the great ones, and the rich ones, and the commanders, and the mighty, and every slave, and every free one, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him sitting on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb, because the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand.
Okay, so over here with these same things that go on, that go on in correlation with the sounding of the trumpets of the coming of the Son of Man, we see in connection with that the wrath of the Lamb. The Most High's wrath being poured out on those that oppose him. And so when we look over here and we think about this great day of wrath again, over from the other perspective, in Matthew, it's talking about him gathering together his elect from the four winds when he comes. But over here, which is the same situation but a different perspective, when he comes, he's pouring out his wrath on the nations. When he comes, people are hiding in their bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you could get you a bunker on Amazon.
Oh, they got them on Amazon now?
I don't know. I just said that. You could buy them.
Okay.
You can buy them somewhere. I don't
have
know
it shipped.
I don't know if Amazon actually does it,
okay.
but you can get it. When I say buy it on Amazon, what I mean is like on the
On
internet.
the internet, I got you.
Amazon don't pay me, by the way. Let me just say that.
sponsor.
Yes, they don't give me money. But so looking at the different perspectives of the same thing happening, Messiah's coming. From one perspective, if I'm anticipating his return, I want him to come. I see this other thing that's going on. He's going to gather me in to be with him. But from this other perspective, of me being on the outside, me not being connected to him, this wrath that he's coming to administer, this, it is what these people, have in store for them. But the point is that we just have one trumpet blast, right? One proclamation, one declaration that Messiah is returning. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. And this is something that we are called to think about with the day of trumpets, right? The pronouncement that is to be made in regards to the Most High, who wants for a message to be relayed to his people, and also he wants a message to be relayed to those that are his people. He's going to return, and when he comes back, it's going to be a shout for joy for one group of people, and it's going to be shouts of weeping and gnashing of teeth for another group of people. Okay, so let's go back over here. Let's go back over to Matthew 24. More to look at. We're not going to talk too long over here today, but we do have something to say. Go to Matthew 24. Pull that back up. Let's drop down to verse 32. Let's read 32 through 35.
Okay, and learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until all this takes place. The heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away.
Okay, very good. So he points to nature, as Yeshua, oftentimes does. We look at a tree. Fig trees, I guess, were native to their situation over there. Fig trees, olive trees. We see these different, indigenous things that are spoken about by Yeshua. And he says, you look at the tree and you see the state that the fruit is in, and you know what season it is. I can look at the tree and recognize the development of the fruit, and I can know the season, right? And then he also says, and he's saying this in the context of what he's already been speaking of, right? And so you also, when you see all these things, all the things that he spoke of, not just right here, the fig tree, but all the things above. When you see all of those things, know that he is near at the doors. Right? And so when you see all of these things going on in the heavenlies, most importantly, tribulation of his people. Because if we go back to 29, it said immediately after the tribulation of those days, sun's going to be dark, the moon's going to lose its light, the stars are going to be falling from heaven, powers are going to be shaken. I don't know about you, but my life isn't that bad. It's pretty awesome, actually. But you can see as time goes by, the life that we live, things do get harder, right? It gets harder for us to do and be who we are in Messiah in this day and time. The things that even when you think about this day, right? We have our feast times that they're inconveniently placed in the middle of the week, where we have to take off of work, right? You have to not be paid. You lose money, right? You become inconvenienced. But for days that don't have anything to do with the Most High, they're nowhere in the Bible. For us as union electricians, those days are double time days. If we had to work on Christmas, you would get compensated doubly, right? And it's such an inconvenience for the for the bosses that it's just something that they don't do but they make it like that on purpose. Like if it comes about that you just have to work on Easter Sunday, we'll pay you double. Mm-hmm. But you lose money for taking off the days for the true days, right? And so, but ain't nobody tying you up and burning you at the stake, though. Right? Ain't nobody chopping your head off.
Right, that's true.
Right? Ain't nobody hanging you upside down and torturing you and pulling your guts out or nothing like that. Right? And so we live in a time where things are increasingly getting worse. But tribulation, it seems, is quite light. I think that the problem is that perhaps things could just turn for the worse really quick because all these other things are going on, right? Earthquakes and storms, all of those things are happening. Battles and wars and rumors of wars, all of those things are happening. So who's to say that this other part ain't gonna just come on us just like that?
Right.
Because the other part is there already. These things that Messiah is saying, you need to look around and understand what's going on around about you, because these things are signs of the coming. Yeah.
I just was thinking about how with the weather, it's something that man hasn't figured out how to get complete control over yet. So you get a hurricane, and they're like at the mercy of the hurricane.
Yeah, I mean they can see it coming, but there's nothing that you can do.
They can't
And
stop
so that's an interesting thing, because to me, I feel like when I see these natural disasters and things, it just causes me to say, like, you could do what you want to do, but when the Most High decide there's going to be a tsunamis and that water start coming, and it don't never go back. It only comes. Like, those tsunamis are crazy. Where he said I'm gonna make a division between the water and the dry lands. And Most High say, forget the line. And the water just goes. And it just comes and it don't stop. Way in the land. And you got these hurricanes or the winds, these things. I just went back and looked at the hurricane that I'm quite proud of the fact that I've experienced a hurricane. Being somebody who lives up north where these people don't know anything about hurricanes. Though you people don't know nothing about hurricanes, right? You could talk about a blizzard, right? A bunch of snow. What your power went out for a little bit. You know what I mean? Well, yeah. But a hurricane though, right? And so I went back and looked on Google. It has a picture of the hurricane that I lived through. This thing was huge. This storm covered several states all at once. This big storm. Nothing you could do. There's nothing you could do but just, you could run from it. You could leave or whatever. There's nothing you could do. But these are all just the natural powers that go on that people are seeing and they're noticing. I wonder really that dark thing. I mean, it's just a computerized generation, the thing that they showed you on YouTube, where you could look up what was the result of them hitting the thing, the asteroid. How far did it move? Yeah, I mean, was it a significant thing? Like, did they change the trajectory of this thing? Because they didn't right away tell you what the results was. And then the video that they showed you, it's like it was totally, they made it up. The video, like, it's this animated thing that they show you, like, and then they say, oh, it struck, but you can't tell that it struck. You know what I mean? You can't see anything, so it's like what it just, to me, it just shows the hopelessness that man has against nature, against the Most High. Man can't do nothing. A little baby small asteroid, just the size of a football stadium, which, I mean, is big, respectively speaking. But in terms of the Earth, if you take a football stadium in the size of the Earth, right, it's nothing. And so but this is just a little thing, right? And so it shows you in comparison, what, where we stand to. It's really, it's silly, isn't it? Just kind of like, what's that story with the giant? I mean, what's the name of that giant where he?
Jack and the Beanstalk?
Nah, Jack and the Beanstalk.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
It's the other one.
It's,
I can't remember. But he was asleep. He was, huh?
The giant.
the giant was asleep?
The giant was sleeping, so he was laying there asleep. Somehow he got to this land, and then the people they tied him up, and they put stakes in the thing, but he was asleep though. But like, as soon as he woke up, like, he just got up, and like all of his stuff broke, and like they wasn't able to stop him. Like, they had this false sense of security because he wasn't even fighting against them. He was literally sleeping. And they tied him up, and they thought that they was doing something, but all he did was just wake up. And everything they tried to do to stop him was futile. And so the same thing is true with these people who want to fight against the Most High. All of these things that they seek to do, it really doesn't matter. Okay, but in regards to trumpets now, again, when we think about the Day of Atonement, again, it's a time when I can't even say it's a time, it memorializes something that is that should be part of our lives as being trumpets, as being those that are making that proclamation of the coming of the kingdom of heaven. Understanding that Messiah is returning, and he's returning for his people, for his bride, who are in our linen garb without spot or blemish, right? And so, he's wanting for us to pronounce his coming. All right, let's go down. Let's keep on going. Let's go over to verse 36. And hold on, let me see over here. Oh wow, there's all kinds of things going on over in the comments over here. Okay, let's keep on reading. Let me put this up here. Start reading at verse 36.
But concerning that day and the hour, no one knows, not even the messengers of the heavens, but my Father only.
Okay, let's just think about that for a minute. Because again, it's kind of like, matter of fact, read, let's see. Read down 39. Sorry.
And as the days of Noah, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For as they were in the days before the flood, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and they did not know until the flood came and took them all away. So also shall the coming of the Son of Man be.
Okay, very good. So when we look at this, again, even in this, we can see two perspectives. Because first of all, when we think about the times of Noah, the days of Noah. Well, we just talked about this on the other week. Let's go over to real fast Genesis 6 and verse 5.
And Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Okay, when we think about the times of Noah, one of the main things that we can see and understand about those times is the utter wickedness of the people. These people, it says the only thing that they ever only thought about was wickedness. That's all they did was think about wickedness continually, right? And so, again, that's something that we could look out and see that, we talked about this, the other week. We can look out and see out here, and, this is our reality. Where something that at one point in time you thought was something that was, family friendly, quote unquote, they just sneak in debauchery and, for no good reason. They have a reason.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But there's no good reason.
No good reason.
Something that you would think don't belong and something that's made for children is there. Mm-hmm. Right? And so it's talking about a time that's near the coming of Messiah that's as the days of Noah. And so when we think about, again, the idea of knowing the day or the hour, no man knows the day or an hour. But when we look, the people, thinking about the days of Noah, the people at that time were totally oblivious to the will of the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Totally oblivious. They didn't have any idea what was going on. Right? They saw this man doing the will of the Most High, and probably all they had to do was ridicule him. I'm sure Noah, in attempts to justify what he was doing, was saying, well, the Most High told me to do this. The Most High told me that he was going to destroy the earth, and I wonder if the people tried to kill him. You think the people tried to kill Noah while he was building the ark? If he told, what would you do if you was a heathen, and somebody sat up there and said to you, "The Most High gonna come and kill you, but he gonna save me, and I got this boat over here." You think that people would have just tried to get on the boat, like outside of being righteous? You think people was just like, well, you ain't gonna sit up here and build this boat, and I'm gonna sit up here and drown. I'm gonna get on your boat with you. Like I'm just trying to think of the things dealing with people and man, what he potentially could have been going through, or they could have just been like, this man crazy. I don't care what he doing. Like whatever, he's building a boat. Like so what? Like.
That's his truth.
Yeah, that's what you identify as a believer in the Most High, and I don't. I just allow you to identify however you want.
Yeah, they probably. I think they probably would look at him as he was just wasting his time.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Like, because back in the day, to be what you putting your time into, they was just like, oh, this dude over here. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when we think about the times of Noah, Noah, in fact, didn't know the day or the time. However long it took for him to build the ark, however long that took, it was all the way until 7 days before the rain came was when he knew the rain was coming. So he lived that whole time period of building the ark, collecting the animals, and all the things that he did in preparation for just to be 7 days prior to the Most High said, in 7 days I'm gonna bring the rain down, and that's it.
That took some faith. That's a long time to have a 7-day warning.
Right. However long it took for him to build it, he was building it not even knowing. But all he knew was that it's going to happen one day, and I'll be saved by getting in here. But the idea that the Most High told Noah, build the ark, prepare for what's coming, and that was his whole purpose and plan over there, and that's what he did. He didn't know, the Most High didn't say, well, on such and such a date, you're gonna sit up here and build this for however many days, and then when that's over, that's what it's gonna be. He had a task to perform, but he didn't have an end date. And so he had to really perform the task first before he got the end date.
Right.
And so when we think about this idea of pronouncing the coming of the Most High, it's not for us to know when. It's not for us to have an end date. It's for us to perform the task at hand, which is to pronounce his coming. And again, this is Yeshua comparing his return to the days of Noah. The days of Noah help us to understand, what our assignment is. And the people, it says, well, I guess this kind of agrees with what you're saying over here, because the people, they were just eating and drinking and marrying. They was just living their life. And they lived their life all the way up until the time that Noah got into the ark.
He was working.
He was constantly working.
Yeah.
And then they were just constantly just living their lives, oblivious to what was going on. And so when you think about that in terms of understanding, what's going on, because the Most High, he gives all of these signs. He says, when I come, it's gonna be like the lightning. It's gonna be like dead men and vultures. It's gonna be like the days of Noah. Like, he's giving all these signs to his people, but the people who ain't his people don't know anything. They're just living their life, and they don't have any idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we see the difference here between those that are connected to the Most High and those that aren't.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to know the day or the time or the hour, but we know that it's coming, and we live our lives accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
But those that aren't connected to the Most High aren't even thinking about the coming of the kingdom. The coming of the kingdom, they don't give it a thought. And so, again, when we think about the idea of trumpets, is sounding that alarm, and to cause people to understand that you have to, in your life, be doing something more than just eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, because there's a time that's coming, and if you not on the right side of things when he returns, it's not going to be good for you.
It's gonna be the opposite.
Okay. I need all of this. I need all of these. I need like a cliff notes of all of these things. There's too much going on in the comments. I need like a summarization so we can know what's going on over there. Okay, so let me keep on going over here. I'll just wait for the summarization. Let's go over. Do
you want that person to summarize what they're saying, or do you want me to summarize?
Oh, someone, please, just anyone. Okay, but as we get that together, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going over here. Let's go over to 40. Okay.
Then two shall be in the field, the one is taken and one is left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one is taken and one is left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your master is coming.
Okay, it's interesting when we look at these verses. I've heard people talk about being the ones that's taken or being the ones that's left. Right now, the way I'm thinking about it, only because, I guess you can think about it two ways. But the way I'm thinking about it right now is with Noah. Noah had a task to perform, and he was performing that task for the Most High. He knew what the plan for the Almighty was, and that's what he was moving towards. So if you interjected here, this being something that's connected with in the times of Noah, he's working towards the purpose of the Most High. and those that aren't, get carried away in their in the wrath, in the judgment. But I feel like I guess you could look at this in both ways, right? Because if he's the one that gets taken away, then the other ones are just, they're just doing whatever they're doing in the field. They're worrying about these earthly things, right? And when the Most High comes, he's going to, he said he's going to gather up, right? He said he's going to gather up his people when he comes. Mm-hmm. So which one of these is the righteous one? The one that's in the field, or the one that's left? Or the one that's taken, or the one that's left? There's two in the field, one's taken, one's left. There's two grinding at the mill, one's taken, and one's left.
Well, I would just reference who was taken. Enoch was taken. Elijah was taken.
They was taken. They was doing the things of the Most High. They was removed from the situation, right? So that's what I mean. You can look at it in that way, and I don't think that is wrong when you think about it in that way. Because I really heard two different sides of people saying who was who. But we literally just got finished looking at in Matthew, in this very same chapter, when he's speaking about when he comes in the four winds and he's gathering up his elect. Mm-hmm. So while the people were sitting there in the field, side by side, concentrating on this work that they're doing, and all of a sudden, the person that was next to them isn't there anymore, and they're still there.
It kind of reminds me of the person you work with. They didn't want to listen to gospel music. Like,
yeah, both y'all working, then you gone,
and
he's
like,
still
what?
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just was thinking about, what was that show?
Left Behind.
Left Behind. Sorry. Wow. Thank you, Elder. I could not remember what it was.
You're on my team when we play racket. Sheesh.
I said, what was that show? And
I
you
was
knew what I was
waiting
talking
for- I was
about.
waiting for him.
And I never even seen the show.
Oh, you
didn't watch
you
it?
ever seen
I
it?
never even seen it, but I heard that's what it was about.
You should watch it together.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
Oh, okay.
It's not good.
Especially the second one.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea. I think the timing is wrong because the idea of that is a pre-tribulation takeaway situation.
Yeah.
Where we just read right here is that after the tribulation is whenever the taking happens.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? And so the idea is interesting, but the timing of it isn't right because, it skips the tribulation part. But be it as it may, the point that we want to get to over here is the fact that when we have a mind for the purposes of the Most High, we have more of we're more in touch with the plan that He has. And there's all of these things that are going on in this world, but we have to be able to stay focused on what the Most High plan is, so that we're able to be on the right side when He returns. And we have to be about the business of proclaiming the Most High and His purposes, so that people can, begin to not be so enthralled with the things of this world and understand that, you know, these things are in fact temporal and eternity is coming. And you know, this is part of you know what we think about when we think about the idea of trumpets sounding the alarm, making it be known to you know, whoever has an ear to hear that the kingdom of Elohim is in fact coming. Okay, so let's keep on going. I want to read. Let's finish up here. Read. Where did we go to? 42.
Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your master is coming.
Okay. It says watch, therefore, right? So connecting this with what we've already looked at, this idea of watching, this idea of understanding what's going on around you, this idea of not just living your life kind of oblivious to the signs that the Most High gives us, but having a connection to the Most High and kind of seeing his workings in the world. Watch, therefore. You don't know when the master is coming, but you still got to do his plans. He still has something for you to be doing. Keep on going.
It says, and know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed his house to be broken into. Because of this, be ready too, for the Son of Adam is coming at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is a trustworthy and wise servant whom his master set over his household to give them food in season. Blessed is the servant whom his master, having come, shall find so doing.
Right. The Most High has given us a task. So what would you say, you know, if Messiah comes back, he's giving you a task. We want to be I think about you know, just kind of just bringing it to you know, the natural thoughts. You know, it's a good thing, you know, on the job for the boss to come around and catch you working. It looks good. It looks good for him to come around and see you like on a ladder or, you know, doing work, as opposed to leaning up against something.
How about on your phone?
On your phone, right? That's not a good look. It's not a good look for the boss to come around and catch you, you know, leaning up against something, sitting down. You know, we don't have a job where we just sit down. Right? If you're sitting down doing something, not just chilling, right? You want the boss to come and catch you working, right? And so when we think about what's being said over here with the master, he's given to his people a task, and he don't expect for us to just be sitting around not performing that task. He wants to catch us working, doing his the job that he has put forth for us to be doing, which, by the way, is pronouncing his coming. Right? Because when we think about the total plan of salvation, you know, we have the idea of coming to him and him becoming our Redeemer and becoming our master with Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Having a new dedication of and set apartness dedicated to him and him only, right? And then we had the sealing of the covenant, right? The laws being poured out, the laws being given to us accepting His will and His ways with Shavuot. But the next thing we have then is trumpets. So now that you've been connected to the Most High, now that He has become your Redeemer and Master, and after you've been sealed with His laws on your heart with the covenant, the next thing for you to be doing is proclaiming that to the world, so that they can then jump in and start the process.
Yeah.
You see that? You see how that?
Cycle.
You see how that goes? And so, when we think about this idea of the Most High catching us working, right? We have to know that He is in fact returning, and we're going to continue forth with the task that He's provided for us. If we are the person that's watching over His house, we have to be able to know that, what's that person doing sitting out there, looking over at when I leave and when I come and when I go. Right? What good is it to know of potential dangers that present themselves, but they're not actually addressing those things?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What good is it to have someone who's supposed to be watching, but then when the time comes to maybe even prevent something bad from happening, you don't do anything? I guess I have all of these pop culture references in my mind. I'm thinking about, what movie was that? It's a war movie.
So many movies.
It's a war movie. I want to say it's Saving Private Ryan. Who had Upham in it? Whenever he stood there and he was at the bottom of the steps and his partner was upstairs and he watched the German people go up the stairs when he could have shot the bad guys. They walked right past him, kills his partner, come back down, and just look at him like he was one of their friends and just leaves him, right? Because he was supposed to be watching out for his buddies, and he let the enemy come in and kill him. And then the enemies felt like he was one of them at the end. He just gave him the international and left out.
The international.
The international head now. Right? Because the way that he treated him was as if he was a friend. But he was the enemy. Right? And so if you not working for the Most High, then there's no neutral ground. You just become the enemy. And the enemy is, they become so acclimated in with you that you become friends with them by default. Just like Upham. I gotta look that up and find out what movie that is. I think it's Saving Private Ryan. Okay. But back to the text. Let's finish up. Oh. Let me just say this over here. This, I don't disagree. Tares and wheat, my brother, the tares are the ones that will be taken up and cast into the fire, because the wheat will be gathered into the kingdom of Yeshua on earth. Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I'm saying. When you look at these things that the Most High, that Yeshua is saying, these things are parables. He is, in fact, going to gather up His people. But at the same time, He's going to gather up the tares too. He's going to gather them up and put them in the fire, right? But so it's like I feel like both thought processes are right. The difference is between the gathering, like we read over in John, one's gathered unto life everlasting, and the other one's gathered unto eternal punishment. Okay, let's finish up here.
Boy,
Yeah.
Ebony just brought up how the disciples were supposed to be watching and wait. You know, when
Oh yeah, when he went away to pray,
Yeah.
when he went away to pray, and they were sleeping.
Mhm.
But the same thing is true, right? When you think about, you know, what it is that the Most High wants for His people to be doing, which is sounding the alarm, which is making a clamorous sound, a sound that causes someone to raise an eyebrow, a sound that causes somebody to say, "What's that noise? What is that? You hear that? What is that?" That's what trumpets is, right? And then you find out what the sound is. Interesting. Let me find out more about this sound that's being made, right? This is our task. This is what the Most High wants for us to be doing. All right, let's finish up. 40. Where we leave off? 44?
46.
Okay.
Truly, I say to you that he shall set over him, set him over all his possessions.
Yeah, the one that keep on working for the Most High. The one that's not messing around with the task that the master is giving him. He's going to put him over all of his possessions, right? Go on.
Mm-hmm. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunkards, the master of the servant shall come on a day when he does not expect it, and in an hour he does not know, and shall cut him in two, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Okay, very good. So this is interesting over here because you're dealing with servants of the master, but you really have a good servant, a picture of a good servant and a bad servant. One that's actually doing what the Most High, what the master has called for him to be doing, and one who's not doing his job as a servant. So at one point in time, he's a servant. He has a task to perform, but he stops doing it because he gets, I guess, complacent. My master's delaying in his coming. He's not paying attention anymore to the task because he grows weary, I suppose. And then in 49, he just loses all resemblance of his master altogether, right? So we see this decline in this evil servant, right? But we also see the results, right? Where he ends up, in the place of, those that are on the outside. And so, just kind of summing all of this up, when we think about Yom Teruah, when we think about what it represents in the scope of our salvation process, we think about our job, every single one of our assignments that we've been given to some degree. You are, in fact, a trumpet. In some degree, you are that thing that creates, that makes that clamoring sound to alarm, to awaken the hearer. To some degree, you are that one who makes that declaration to repent. The kingdom of heaven is near. And, we have to remain diligent in the performance of our task and not be like this this evil servant. By the way, he's just called an evil servant because he fails to continue in the work. That's what makes him the evil servant, because he failed to continue in the work. So we have to be able to keep our hand, as it says, on the plow and continue in the work that the master has given us to be doing, because he is in fact coming back, and judgment is in fact going to be rendered out by the master. And we have to be on the right side of this coming, so that we can enjoy all the things that the master has for his people. So when we think about this day of trumpets, this day of clamoring sounds, again, I just want to end on a note of thinking about the fact that this time for us is a joyous time, right? It's a joyous time because what it represents is not only us joining, being forever joined to our master, but not only that, but calling others to be a part of this thing that we enjoy, right? How much do you enjoy? You think about just earthly things. When you come across something that you enjoy, you tell people about it. It could be the most kind of frivolous thing, but it's something that causes you a little bit of happiness and joy, and you say, "Oh, I read this little thing on the internet, or I came across this cute little so and so at the market or whatever."
I'm trying some new toilet paper.
Oh my, yes, it's the softest
It's great.
thing that I've ever experienced, right? Just these little things that you speak about, because in some way they've caused your life to be a little more better. But how much more so do we speak of our master, Yeshua? Well, that's our purpose, right? To sound that alarm and to let the people know who he is, what he has done for you, and what he's coming to do when it's all said and done. Okay, so that being said, does anybody have any last comments, additions to the situation before we bid you all adieu? That's French. Okay, so all right, so then we will say Shabbaton Shalom.
Shabbaton Shalom.
Oh yeah, let's go out with a shofar blast. Hiskey with his hold on a second. We'll go out with a shofar blast. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of their HaYom Teruah. We're about to get into a little celebration over here, and y'all willing, you about to get into some celebrations over there where you are.
Or
In
you've
your
already
respective,
Continue.
we just keeping it going. We keeping the party moving. You know what I'm saying?
What
Okay.
else? Yom Kippur?
Okay. Yeah. So we'll have Shabbat, of course, on Shabbat, and I guess we'll have another Shabbat, and then after that, the next when is it? The 7th.
Yeah, the 6th through the 7th.
Yes. So October the 6th at even, we'll begin Yom Kippur. We'll begin the fast. That'll be the next high day that we have outside of the Shabbat. I guess what do we? I guess we'll have a little something we do on the online for that. Y'all will.
Wait, no, I'm
Seven.
The 7th is the day part, right?
Right.
Yeah. The 6th is the night part. The 7th is the day part. Okay. All right, Hisky, go ahead and end it out with the trumpet sound blast, and we'll go ahead and end.
All right.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.